മിന്നില്ലല്ലേ? ഇത് പർട്ടിക്കുലർ. പക്ഷെ ഈ ഒരു കറക്കത്തിന് ഒത്തിരി എനർജി എടുക്കുന്നത്. പാഡി ഫീൽഡ് അതിൻ്റെ ഇടയ്ക്കെല്ലാം വരയിട്ടിരുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇത് വിളഞ്ഞതാണ്, ഇത് ഗ്രീനറി. ചേച്ചി പറയുന്നത് ഇത് ചെയ്യാം. കോളിഫ്ലവർ. ബെൽജിയം.
പിന്നെ ഹലോ ഞങ്ങൾ കോച്ചിലാണ്. ഇവിടുന്നൊക്കെ കോച്ചിലാണ്. പിന്നെ ഞാൻ വിളിച്ച ഒരു രാജ്യത്ത് നിന്ന് ഞാൻ ഒരാൾ വിളിച്ചായിരുന്നു, മറ്റേ ബ്രോക്കർ. അല്ല മറ്റേ നമ്മുടെ ഇവിടെ എവിടെ പാലാട്. അത് തന്നെ അത് തന്നെ ബ്രോക്കറാ. ഹലോ കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? ബ്രോക്കർ തന്നെ. പുള്ളി എന്നെ വിളിച്ചു. 3-4 ദിവസം മുമ്പായിരിക്കും. എന്നെ ഇപ്പൊ വിളിച്ചായിരുന്നു. ഞാനന്ന് നേരത്തെ അച്ഛൻ്റെ നമ്പർ കൊടുത്തില്ല, അങ്ങനെയാണ് അങ്ങ് വിളിച്ചത്. ഇന്നിപ്പോ എന്നെ വിളിച്ചു. കണ്ടു, അവരെനിക്കൊന്ന് കണ്ടു. പിന്നെ വീട് കണ്ടു. 4-5 ബാച്ചിലേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. ഹലോ കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
ബെൽജിയം.
So please come a little bit closer. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bruges. My name is Fabienne. I'm born in Bruges and I live here. So you can ask any questions about Bruges. First of all, of course, it's very important. I have my hat on that you follow me. I'm tall, so you can see me very, very well because you see there are other groups. And otherwise, if you follow another 2 leader, you never know where you ended up in the evening. So it's very important that you stay with me. First of all, this is the map of Bruges. You cannot get lost in Bruges. Bruges is not very big, but there are very narrow streets because Bruges is, of course, a city from the Middle Ages, a very old city. So you will see original buildings from the Middle Ages. And as you can see, this is the first rampart, and this is the second rampart to protect the city. And we are going to walk. We are going to walk apart from here until here on this bridge, and we are going to end up at the market square. And very important, of course, for today, I think from India you brought the good weather because for us it's unusual that we have such a nice weather. So, but it's very important that, of course, you drink a lot of water. And so, first of all, you will see also the highlights of Bruges, and of course, I'm going to tell you some stories about the city of Bruges, the legends of Bruges, the legends of the swans. But first, I would like to see one of the most romantic places here in Bruges, and it is the Lake of Love. So follow me, and please stay together. Stay in Bruges. Thank you.
ഉണ്ടല്ലോ അവിടെ കണ്ട നല്ല രസം
The whole center is protected by UNESCO.
heb ik een hekel aan, joh.
Style of Bruges, because we will recognize a lot of style of building once we come at the Berg Square. This street is very special because the whole street is built in the neo-Gothic style. And this style Middle Ages, typical with the walls and the windows. It's very, very, very. It was a hospital, but immediately we go to the Old Central Hospital, so we have two hospitals nearby. But as you can see that the streets are so narrow for the ambulance, they have especially from this hospital to the other hospital a tunnel. A tunnel just for the ambulance. It was unbelievable because the ambulance could go from the one hospital to the other hospital without going in the streets. So that was of course very, very convenient. So we are going to the entrance now of the big village. My first language is Flemish and our second language in Belgium is French. Yes, Flemish is Dutch. Yes, it's the same. Like the people from Holland and we can understand each other. Yes. I will explain. You will stand here with So we are here in the Day village, but first of all I must explain what are begins. Are there still begins? No. There are no begins left. Today in this place, these are nuns who are from the Benedictine order, Ora et Labora, praying and you must know in the 9th, 10th century there was a mystic suite of women, but they never took the convent vows. So like poverty, not because they were very rich, and they did a lot of charity. Charity here. And it was also a city inside the city. Like over there in the corner, you have the mother's house. And there was also a hospital. There was also a doorway. There was also a garden with vegetables. And when you come at Easter time, the whole garden is full here with daffodils. Have no income. They have no income from the bishop or from the government. They have their own income, just like the kids have the ladies, and they rent out houses, but only for the ladies. So no men allowed. And in the evening, at 7 o'clock, they close the gates, and that's it. If you want to stay here with your family, you can. And you can, after just behind the convent, there is a kind of a guest house, but this year it's the last year because in 2020 there are going to be strict rules about ecology for the houses in Bruges. It means
ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വന്നാൽ വെയിൽ കൊള്ളാതെ
full.
It's better to move.
Thinking now, but it's 1 in 10 years, so it's not often. I know you will have the flu.
We touch the water.
ചൂട് കുറയും.
അത് ഞാൻ ഇത് നേരത്തെ ചെയ്തെന്നുള്ളത് ഉച്ചയ്ക്ക് 120 ആണ്. ചൂട് കൂടും. So I'll be explaining in English and in Spanish, okay?
Yes, this afternoon is going.
I can feel it. It's never been like this.
No, it's perfect.
So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, welcome on board. Señoras y señores, buenas tardes, bienvenidos a bordo. In front of us we have the lowest bridge in town, so please don't stand up to take any pictures. Allí enfrente se puede ver el puente lo más bajo de la ciudad. Cuidado con la cabeza, por favor.
Nobody has big I was just saying, hope is getting big.
Yeah.
Looking on the bridge.
In front of us is the 16th century lockhouse with the Minnewater behind it. This romantic spot once served as a reservoir and mooring place for the canal boats which linked Bruges with Ghent.
Delante de nosotros tenemos la Casa de Exclusas, que data del siglo XVI, y detrás el Parque Minnewater. Antiguamente, este romántico lugar servía como embalse y muelle de atraque para barcos sirgados que unían Brujas con Gante.
My
On your left is the Berg, which was founded in the 13th century. Since 1926, there are no longer any members of the Berg order living there, and it is now occupied by Benedictine nuns and single women.
A su izquierda vemos el Beaterío, que data del siglo XIII. Desde el año 1926, las beguinas ya no viven aquí. En su lugar residen las hermanas benedictinas, junto con otras mujeres solteras.
Beyond the bridge, on the right-hand side, you can see the beer brewery Henry Maas, where they brew a blonde, strong beer. You can visit this brewery, and of course you can always try a few beers. A la derecha, se puede ver la cervecería de Enrique Maas, donde se hace una cerveza clara bastante fuerte. Se puede visitar esa cervecería y claro que se puede tomar algunas cervezas. Here you have that low bridge again, mind your heads. Vamos a pasar el puente más bajo de nuevo. Cuidado con la cabeza, por favor. On your left is the St. Jan's Hospital. The oldest parts of the building date from the 12th century. It now houses the Memory Museum and the 17th century pharmacy.
A la izquierda está el Hospital de San Juan, cuya parte más antigua data del siglo XII. Actualmente alberga el Museo Memling y una farmacia del siglo XVII.
On your left is the Palace of the Lords of Bruges, which dates from the 15th century and is now a museum of antiquities and decorative arts.
A la izquierda, el Palacio de los Señores Bruges del siglo XV. Actualmente alberga el Museo de Arqueología y Artes Aplicadas.
On your right, you can see the Groningen Museum, which boasts an outstanding collection of southern Netherlandish and Belgian paintings, spanning the period from the 15th to the 20th centuries.
A la derecha se encuentra el Museo Groningen, que ofrece una espléndida muestra del arte pictórico tanto de los Países Bajos del Sur como de Bélgica de los siglos XV al XX.
The windows of Hotel de Tuileries are of Venetian glass from the famous Murano workshops.
Las ventanas del Hotel de Tuileries son de cristal veneciano y provienen de los talleres de Murano.
We now have a good view of the belfry. This magnificent tower stands 83 meters above the Grote Markt. It has 366 steps and houses 47 clocks, which together weigh around 27 metric tons.
Desde aquí podemos disfrutar de una bella imagen de la Atalaya, una torre de 83 metros de alto que se encuentra en la Plaza Mayor. Tiene 366 peldaños y 47 campanas, con un peso aproximado de 27 toneladas.
In front of us is one of the city's oldest bridges, the May Bridge, dating from the 14th century.
Ante nosotros, uno de los puentes más antiguos de la ciudad, el llamado puente Neerbrug, que data del siglo XIV.
On the right is an old connecting channel to the canal linking Bruges to the city of Ghent.
A la derecha tenemos lo que llamamos Cupúo, un antiguo canal de comunicación con el canal hacia la ciudad de Gante.
The Red House on the left-hand side was the Scottish consulate until the 18th century. You can still see the bagpiper on the wall. La Casa Roja aquí a la izquierda fue funcionando de la Escocia hasta el siglo XVIII. Todavía se puede ver el gaitero en la pared. On the left, you can see some beautiful houses built in the 18th century. They're built in the typical Flemish style. They are called step gables. A la derecha, se puede ver algunas casas hechas del siglo XVIII. Son construidas en el estilo típico flamenco. Esas casas se llaman fachadas de escaleras.
In front of us is St. Gilles Kirk. In the historic city centre, there are 9 large churches for around 22,000 inhabitants. Greater Bruges has a population of approximately 120,000.
Delante de nosotros, la iglesia de St. Gilles. En el casco viejo de la ciudad existen 9 grandes iglesias para una parroquia de aproximadamente 22.000 habitantes. La aglomeración de Brujas cuenta con un total aproximado de 120.000 habitantes.
The building with the tower in front of us is the 15th century Porter's Lodge, so called because it was originally a meeting hall for porters, the rich merchants of the medieval city. It was later an art school and is now the municipal archive. In front of the building is a statue of the 15th century painter Jan van Eyck.
El edificio con la torre que vemos delante de nosotros era en el siglo XV un Porter's Lodge, un lugar de reunión para comerciantes adinerados. Posteriormente fue una academia de artes y actualmente es el archivo municipal. Delante del edificio se encuentra la estatua de Jan van Eyck, un famoso pintor del siglo XV.
The large white building on the left used to be the British consulate in the 18th century and is now a primary school.
El gran edificio de color blanco situado a la izquierda era el consulado inglés en el siglo XVIII. Ahora es una escuela primaria.
The canal on the left-hand side goes to the sea. It's 10 miles or 14 kilometers to Zeebrugge. El canal aquí a la izquierda hasta el mar, 14 kilómetros.
സീയിലേക്കുള്ള കണക്ടിവിറ്റി അല്ലേ 14 കിലോമീറ്റർ.
Above some of the windows and doors you can see strange gargoyle-like figures. These serve to prevent evil spirits from entering the houses.
Sobre puertas y ventanas pueden verse unas extrañas figuras que servían para ahuyentar de las casas los malos espíritus.
The building on the right-hand side was a monastery for Jesuits until the 18th century. Now it's a school as well. El edificio aquí a la derecha fue monasterio de jesuitas hasta el siglo XVIII, pero ahora es una escuela también.
The canals of the historic city centre are called the Rhine and hold fresh water with a depth of between 1.5 and 2 meters. The water is clean enough for fish to live in, mainly eels and carp.
A los canales en el casco viejo de la ciudad se les llama Reien. Se trata de canales de agua dulce con una profundidad de entre 1,5 metros y 2 metros. En ellos viven diversas especies de peces, principalmente anguilas y carpas.
In the background you will see the tower of the St. Saviour's Church. It was built in the 12th century. The St. Saviour's Church is the cathedral of this town. It is also the oldest church in Bruges, St. Saviour's Cathedral. Enfrente, al fondo, se puede ver la torre de la iglesia San Salvador, construida en el siglo XII. La iglesia San Salvador es la catedral de la ciudad. También es la iglesia la más antigua de Bruges, San Salvador. On the right-hand side, you can see the former Palace of Justice, or the Court of Justice. It was built in the 17th century. Over those 4 pigeonets on top, they were used for sending messages with carrier pigeons. A la derecha se puede ver el antiguo Palacio de la Justicia del siglo XVII. Mira los 4 palomares arriba. Sirvió para mandar recados con palomas mensajeras.
On the left, we're now passing the fish market, which dates from the 19th century. Only a small part of the complex is still in regular use.
A la izquierda pasamos por delante del Bismarkt, mercado de pescados que data del siglo XIX. En la actualidad solo se utiliza una pequeña parte del edificio casi cada mañana.
In front of us are a number of houses with wooden facades, which were built around 1920.
Delante de nosotros vemos casas con fachadas de madera. Fueron construidas alrededor de 1920.
Onze Lieve Vrouwenkerk in front of us has a brick tower and is 122 meters high. Among its many treasures are a Virgin and Child by Michelangelo in white marble, and the mausoleums of Charles the Bold and his daughter, Mary of Burgundy.
Delante de nosotros vemos la iglesia Onze Lieve Vrouwenkerk, iglesia de Nuestra Señora, con una torre de ladrillos de 122 metros de alto. En su interior podemos apreciar, entre otras maravillas, una Virgen de mármol blanco, obra de Miguel Ángel, y los mausoleos de Carlos el Temerario y su hija María de Borgoña.
The bridge here in front of us is actually made out of 3 different bridges. The first part is built in the 15th century. The second and the 16th and the third part is built in the 17th century. El puente aquí enfrente es hecho en tres partes diferentes. La primera parte es hecha en el siglo XV, la segunda parte es del siglo XVI y la tercera parte es hecho en el siglo XVII. 15, 16 and 17th century. Siglo XV, XVI y XVII.
In front of us is the Farcious bridge, and beyond the bridge, on the right, we can enjoy another fine view of the Onze Lieve Vrouwenkerk.
Delante de nosotros tenemos el puente Bonifacius y a continuación, a la derecha, podemos disfrutar de otra hermosa vista de la iglesia de Nuestra Señora.
122 meters high, just bricks. 122 metros de altura, solo ladrillos.
Well, we've now come to the end of our tour. It's customary to tip the skipper, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in Bruges.
Y así hemos llegado al final de nuestro recorrido. Les recuerdo que es costumbre entregar una propina al conductor. Les deseamos una agradable estancia en la ciudad de Brujas.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are nearly at the end here of the excursion. Now that you're satisfied with the trip,
White wine with beer. So that's very unusual. There are a lot of steps if you want to visit it, but it's really worth to visit here. And we are proud of it, but of course, this is also something typical. This is an almshouse, but first of all I must explain what is an almshouse. Well, in the Middle Ages there was no social institution, and the people, they were very religious, there was a Catholic religion, very religious, and of course you died very young, and they also believed in the life after death. So 30 years old, your life was already finished, and a lot of ladies, also unmarried, they also wanted to go straight ahead to heaven. They had a solution, because there was a Spanish humanist who wrote a work in Latin that said that the rich people have to help the poor people. So the rich ladies or the rich gentlemen of the rich family, they founded with the notary and the mayor a document to say that, for instance, 6 poor widows could live here in an almshouse. We have 42 almshouses in Bruges. This is the oldest one. Of course, there is always a chapel. Here it's integrated in the room. And the chapel is to pray for the salvation of the soul of the owner of the almshouse. We also see a painting, but this is a copy. Please, can you push the white button? Thank you. And you can see those two saints, St. John the Baptist and St. John the Evangelist, and the Father and the Son. There is no dove, and normally in the Trinity there is a dove. As during the century they maybe cut it off for put it in the frame, but we don't know yet. So there is also a beautiful garden with a private well for the fresh water. Water for the fresh water is not in function anymore, but even here in an almshouse there is also some water. You also can see that these are one-layer houses, so the people are sleeping under the roof. But they made one house from 2 houses. Before there were two houses, and the toilets before were outside. Can you imagine in wintertime to go outside to the toilet in your pajamas? So it was freezing. It was in the wintertime it can be very cold.
The Hindu culture, religion, Hinduism.
Yes.
So it is the your forefathers or അവര് ബൈ ബൈ പറഞ്ഞു. അല്ല റെസ്റ്റോറൻറ്റ് കൊണ്ടുവന്നിട്ട് see you.
Thank you.
നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലെ
I will take everybody together.
മെനുവിലുണ്ട്.
വെള്ളം മെനുവിലുണ്ട്.
We've been travelling Europe for a month, and we've kind of gone full circle, and this is our last stop off before going home. And we love Bruges. This next song, by somebody called Beyonce, I think you might have heard of.
Yes, yes.
ഒക്കെ ആയിരിക്കും മറ്റേ ആക്സിഡൻറ്റ് മറ്റോളല്ല മറ്റോള് മരിച്ചില്ല പാരീസിലെ മറ്റേ
ഡയന. ഭയങ്കര ലെങ്തിയാണ്.
കറമ്പനാട് അവിടെ ഒരു സ്ഥലമുണ്ടല്ലോ അവിടെ പൊളിച്ചളയാൻ വേണ്ടിയൊക്കെ വീട് കണ്ടില്ല ഫ്രാൻസിലെ അവർ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് അവർ ആ ഏരിയ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഭയങ്കര നൊട്ടേറിയസ് ഏരിയയാണ്. ആ ഏരിയ വെച്ചാൽ
ഇപ്പം നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലൊക്കെ
the outside of Paris, in the sense the actual Paris is old. Nothing can be changed. So all new developments, new modern buildings, all happen just outside the ring because you can't construct anything. So that's what you see in the straight ahead of your bus. That's the new modern building. That's a financial district. We stay in that area. And if you're not sure you can see it, but if you can keep your eyes on the left as we go, probably you can see the Eiffel Tower much into the distance. This area where we stay is called the DAY5. Tomorrow when we do the Eiffel Tower, you can actually see this area. This is where the modern buildings are, things like that. You can't construct anything. It's just one bridge when you're inside the old Paris. The hotel we're staying is the Mercure, Lockhouse. As you say, Mercure is a French chain. It's part of the Accor group. Location is good, in the sense easy access to city by bus. Even for taxi, it's probably 15 minutes. That's closed for Paris. Normally people stay near the airport. And there are a few shopping malls next to it. One for sure is called the Cathedral, which is nearby, but it should be closed by now. Tomorrow probably we can try. Building. That's how the buildings are inside Paris. So anything beyond that is modern. Before that. As we go forward, I'll show you that.
വലിയ വണ്ടിയാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ വീശിയെടുക്കുന്നത്.
is over there.
I can see an entrance here as well.
Yes, it is, but yeah, exactly. Maybe we try. Maybe I ask her. Okay? Help.
ചെറിയ ക്ലാസ്സും ഇല്ലേ? കറക്റ്റ് ഫുൾ ടവർ.
നമ്മുടെ റൂമിൽ നിന്ന് ഈഫൽ ടവർ കാണാം. എല്ലാം നല്ല സെലക്ഷനായി ലൊക്കേഷൻ.
ലിച്ചോന്ന് ചോദിച്ചേ ഉള്ളൂ കേട്ടോ. അവിടെ ലിച്ചോ അതാ എനിക്ക് സൈക്കില്ല എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ ഇപ്പഴാണ് കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചത്.
ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ കണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇത് ഞങ്ങളുടെ 4ാമത്തെ ഹോട്ടലാണ്. നല്ല UK ഹോട്ടൽ